Above the law, from King John to the President of the United States. In the year 1215, on the banks of the River Thames, a group of English nobles forced King John to seal a document that would forever change the course of political power, the Magna Carta. At first glance, it was a list of feudal demands. But at its core, it was a quiet revolution, a declaration that even the monarch, the so-called anointed of God, was subject to the law. It marked the birth of the rule of law. A radical idea for its time. Rex non debet esse sub homine, sed sub Deo et lege. The king is not under any man, but under God and the law. From Runnymede to Philadelphia, 5 centuries later, across a vast ocean, the echoes of that ancient charter reached the minds of the founding fathers of the United States. When, in 1776, they proclaimed independence, they were not only breaking away from an empire, they were building an entirely new vision of political authority. And in 1787, as they drafted the Constitution of the United States, the essential principle of the Magna Carta became a cornerstone. Government must be limited by law. In this new republic, there would be no kings. But there would also be no man above the law. Not presidents, not judges, not lawmakers. The president, servant, not sovereign. The President of the United States, as head of the executive branch, swears an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. He does not swear allegiance to himself, to his party, or to popularity. His authority is not divine nor inherited. It is delegated by the people, and its exercise is bound by the supreme law of the nation. The Magna Carta planted that seed. That power is not a privilege, but a legal responsibility. From its spirit grew the principles of due process, the right to a fair trial, and the accountability of all officials who violate rights or abuse power. When power is tested. Throughout American history, that principle has been tested. From the impeachment trial of Andrew Johnson in 1868 to the Watergate scandal that led to Richard Nixon's resignation in 1974. In that moment, Congress and the Supreme Court reminded the nation of what the Magna Carta had already taught centuries earlier: a government of laws and not of men. When Nixon claimed, "If the president does it, that means it is not illegal," the nation shuddered. That statement, so contrary to the spirit of Runnymede, was refuted by the very constitutional framework that descends from the Magna Carta. Power does not define justice, the law does. The living legacy of the Magna Carta. Today, more than 800 years after its signing, the Magna Carta remains alive in jurisprudence and democratic conscience. Its message echoes through time and warns every republic. When a ruler places himself above the law, he ceases to govern and begins to dominate. In the United States, the separation of powers, congressional oversight, the independent judiciary, and the impeachment process are direct descendants of that parchment sealed in 1215. The presidential figure, powerful and symbolic, remains human, and as such is subject to the Constitution, the courts, and the judgment of history. The Magna Carta was not merely a document for its era, it was a principle for all time, the sovereignty of law over the whims of power. In this sense, every time a nation remembers that its leader is not above the law, it rekindles the flame lit by the barons of England centuries ago. The president may be a commander, a leader, or the symbol of a nation, but never an absolute sovereign. Because at the very heart of modern constitutionalism beats a truth born more than 8 centuries ago. Neither the king, nor the president, nor any man is above the law. Subscribe and share this video.